Subscribe right now and hit the bell. Then you won't miss a chapter. And give the show a like. Comment with any thoughts and questions, and I will be happy to chat with you. Thanks for helping out this independent author.
Worried. The orange sun was low on the watery horizon, and the colors in the California sky were beginning to grow rich. But no one on this beach was watching the sunset today. A small group had gathered in a tight circle, and the tension was palpable as people visibly held their breath in suspense. Rachel hovered over Josh's cold, limp body with her hands on his chest, like she'd been taught in the first responders class Dad made her take last year. She was furiously giving chest compressions to keep his blood moving, and she was almost spent. How long has it been? She thought in a panic. She was sure it had been too long, and he needed to come back to her, and now. Then, as though he had felt her thoughts, Josh suddenly heaved violently. He began to cough out the water from his lungs and take huge gasping breaths that were obviously very painful. "Oh, Josh!" Rachel yelled in relief as she rolled him to his side, and then held him tightly to her so she could warm him. "Get some towels," she demanded of the people watching. Someone ran off and another man said, "My friend went to call 911. I'm sure they're on their way by now." Josh's color was beginning to come back, and he tried to sit up when the pain in his head hit him with full force. He groaned and grabbed his bleeding head, as Rachel lowered him back down, saying, "Whoa, Josh, it's okay, just stay lying down. You hit your head and need to stay still. Oh, you had me so worried." A man breathing very heavily arrived to deliver the requested towels. Rachel covered Josh with one and held the other on the open gash on his head that had begun to stain the sand with his blood. I don't understand what happened," said Josh slowly, through teeth gritted in pain. A deep voice responded sympathetically. "Amigo, you rode that perfect tunnel into the death trap. When you bailed, your head found a rock. You're lucky to be alive, bro." Josh slowly turned his head toward the voice while squinting through his blurry vision and the fading light. He could barely make out the huge figure, but it was obviously Damien standing there. "Oh, Josh," Rachel exclaimed. "I swam out when I saw that you didn't come up, but I couldn't find you. I just couldn't. I was so scared, and then this guy suddenly popped up with you out of nowhere." She paused as though remembering the feeling, and then stated plainly, "He saved you, Josh." Josh laid his head back down and breathed out a thanks as he winced. The paramedics arrived then, but Josh stubbornly refused to be taken to the hospital multiple times, so they settled on stitching up his gash there on the beach. They left him with a nicely bandaged head and several strong pain relievers. "Just please take me back to the house where I can rest. I just need some rest," Josh said to Rachel. Then, after sensing her concern, he added, "You can stay there with me to make sure that I don't fall asleep for a while and that I'm okay. Will you call Mama and tell her we're going to chill there? And do not tell her what happened. She'll freak." Rachel said nothing but frowned and thought to herself, "You should be in the ER right now, you stubborn fool." Back at the house, Rachel helped to get Josh comfortable and kept him awake with games and conversation for a while. She knew that he could be in danger, and the paramedics had instructed him to be woken up periodically through the night just to check on him. She had gone, only briefly, to make him a sandwich, and when she returned he was very much asleep on the plush living room sofa. "Well, I'll let him sleep for a few hours." She went about occupying herself and made sure to call Daddy and tell him a good half-truth about why she wasn't coming home tonight. She hated to lie, even a little, to her father, but she figured she was being responsible and needed to cover for Josh too. She made sure to mention that she would be sleeping on the couch, but Daddy was not very concerned about Josh, as he had always been very respectful to his little girl. Sometimes he was almost too careful, if that was possible, Rachel thought. Josh was always complimentary of her looks, but sometimes she wondered if he really was that attracted to her. He never, not even once, made any real move toward her, and a part of her at least wanted him to try something, like a passionate kiss. Maybe he had his own self-doubts, because she didn't doubt the way he felt for her on a caring emotional level. Rachel sat next to him and read a few genetics articles on her phone for a while until she began to tire. Josh was resting there peacefully, so she decided a movie would help to keep her awake. Josh had been sleeping for a couple of hours when Rachel noticed him begin to breathe heavily and squirm a bit. She reached over and shook his shoulder gently at first, then harder when he didn't wake. His body began to stiffen, and beads of sweat formed on his brow. Feeling the pressing concern, she said firmly, Josh, wake up!" But he did not. A murmur was his only response as his face began to scrunch up with nightmarish discomfort and his hair became wet with sweat. Now Rachel was getting worried. She continued to shake him and yell out his name. What is wrong? Is he in pain? She tried everything she could think of, and even threw a glass of water in his face, but still he would not wake up. He squirmed and groaned more as the intensity of his discomfort seemed to grow with every passing minute. So Rachel decided it was time to call 911. She picked up her phone while she kept her eyes on Josh. 911 emergency, the dispatcher answered expectantly. Just then, Josh sat straight up, loudly gasping for air, causing Rachel to jump and drop her phone. She ran to him as his mouth was gaping open and his eyes were wide in awe.
Be sure to share the show with friends and write an Amazon review. Get the entire audiobook right now. Go to sa.vanderwerf.com to get it at an extremely discounted price. To receive the free ebook and my wallpaper book cover image, just sign up for the newsletter at sa.vanderwerf.com. Then you can be notified for the release of the anticipated sequel to The Man Who Made Himself. Thanks so much and enjoy the gifts.